Hello. Well, welcome to Tea with the Druid, number 328. My name is Carr-Gomm, and Tea with the Druid is brought to you by the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids. My apologies for being a few minutes late. I went into the wrong room. We have after teas, we have biscuits with Druids. I know the biscuits should go with the tea, but we're strange and we eat the biscuits about half an hour later in a special area called the Druid Hearth, which is for members of the order. And I went into the biscuits room and wondered why only a few people were there, quietly nibbling biscuits on their own, eating the biscuit supply before we arrive in half an hour. So there you go. That's why. I do apologize. Hello from Wisconsin and near the Danish border, and North Germany and Northamptonshire and California and Switzerland and Durrington and London and Lincolnshire and Italy and Auckland, hooray, and Brisbane and Texas and Finland and Canada and Totnes. Great to see everybody. There are 222 people here at the moment. The Great Lakes of North America. Hi from Limerick. It's going so fast. Hang on. Bretagne, Netherlands, Arizona, North Wales, London. Lovely to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Tea with a Druid. So as everyone arrives, let's just take some time to settle. And I wonder how your day has been. Has it been a rushed day, or has your day flowed absolutely beautifully with no sense of time pressure at all? And it'll be really interesting. Let's take a straw poll. Just to ask yourself, have I just been in the flow and things have just unfolded beautifully and naturally today? Or have you arrived into the grove now feeling, gosh, now I can let go? And let's have a look. Quiet and boring. Oh dear, answer your phone. I know. That was my son, the cheeky monkey. Exhausting, been busy, rushed and crazed, pretty much in the flow, periods of both. Today is a brilliant day. Last week was rough. Today is smooth. Busy day, in the flow, very relaxed day. Haven't had the best day, been feeling quite anxious. Chaotic with intermittent spells of calm. Sounds like a sort of weather forecast. We could do a kind of weather forecast for our day, can't we? Oh, easy and energized. Slightly forced. Gosh, I know these feelings are also familiar. I am taking rest. Yes, a smooth morning. Not bad, a little lazy. Newly retired and wondering what Monday means now. Calm today. Luckily bereft of chaos. That's rushed and settling in so happily. Started great, a bit of dysregulation then, now settling into this fine circle. Sleepy, may have the lurgy. Oh, I hope not. Yesterday flew smoothly. Today will be the greatest day I've ever known. Hooray! Busy but calm and lots of energy. Better than in a long time. Bit too much procrastination. Traveled back from Sweden to Germany. Quite a relaxed trip. Better for joining with you all. Dysregulated all day. Dysregulated and unregulated and downregulated and upregulated. All the new buzzwords for whether you're feeling, what were the old-fashioned ways of talking about it? Relaxed and calm versus frazzled. And it relates to the regulation of the nervous system. Letting go of things and sad about that. Needing to adjust. Sleepy. So glad to be here. Busy. Yes, regulations of our nervous systems. Met up with an old friend, so lovely. And then me, Kiyu, is feeling bonkers, discombobulated, contented. Today, relatively calm, but a bit apprehensive. Very happy, a beautiful day in central France. So a whole range of feelings. Isn't that wonderful? I should ask myself how I'm feeling. I think when 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 you do the kind of work that I do, which is writing and preparing talks and workshops, and then presenting talks and workshops, and creating online courses and speaking on podcasts, it's very easy for the day to become broken up or to feel bitty or sort of choppy, because you're very busy for an hour, and then there's a pause, but you've got another meeting or another Zoom in 2 hours, and so you fit a bit of work in the 2 hours, and then you realize that you haven't had much exercise, so you feel you ought to do some exercise, so you go for a walk, and then you come back, you do another meeting, and so on. So it's a constant question or issue to try and relax into the day and to flow it with the day, even though there isn't really a routine, because every day is different. So on the upside, that's wonderful and rich and varied. On the downside, you can't relax into a routine because there isn't one. The photograph that I put on the thumbnail that you may have seen is a picture I took at the weekend when we were in Margate, which is a town on that bit over there on the right in England, on the coast, the sort of North Sea, sea on 3 sides, and very interesting place. Beautiful light. It was a beautiful day, and there's one of the world's mysteries there. There's a thing called the Shell Grotto. And this is a grotto that was found in the 19th century, and nobody knows. There's absolutely no record of who made it, why it's there. It was in a field. It doesn't seem to be near a building. Very, very strange. And you go in, and there's a passageway goes down, and then you go and you end in a room with what they call the altar, which is a sort of thing like an altar, and everywhere is covered with thousands of seashells. I mean, it must have taken somebody or some people forever bringing shells up. It's not right by the sea. It's about 15 minutes walk from the seaside. So you'd have to carry baskets of shells all the way up, or put them on donkeys and bring them up. And then they're all in complex patterns. And like all good mysteries, there are different theories about it. And one theory is, of course, that it was a place for initiation, special magical rites, because the symbols on the depicted it with the seashells could be interpreted as mystical. Is it on a ley line? Asks Jonathan Lee. Well, it could well be. We should check the ley lines. Thank you, Jonathan. So it's well worth a visit. There's a wonderful picture taken in the Victorian era of a séance being conducted, with a medium in the trance and everybody sitting around, being suitably impressed and tuning in. And there's a way in which I find not knowing something is even more interesting than knowing. That's not knowing the origin, because the origin could well be, if we're going to be kind of down to earth or skeptical, there's probably some very, very down to earth story about how some guy lived nearby and that was his hobby and he did it for 20 years or something. But not there being absolutely no understanding where it comes from feels really powerful. So, I would like to read you a poem now. I went on a march on Sunday to commemorate the 4,000 children who have died in Gaza, and I would have liked it to include the children who died in Israel. And then when I think about it, I would like it to include the children who are dying in Lebanon now. And I would like it to include the children who have died in Ukraine and the children who are dying in Sudan. The whole story of what's happening in Sudan is just horrendous, and the sort of numbers are just even worse than in Palestine. So here's a poem I would like to read you, and I find it very powerful and very beautiful, and it answers for me, well, it speaks to me about the attitude that I want to take vis-a-vis the world and the feelings and thoughts that I have. It's called Because by Rosemary Watola Trauma, and I'll repeat that again at the end. And I'll say it in the, maybe when we're in the grove in the meditation, I'll say it, but let me read it to you now just as it is. So I can't save the world, can't save even myself, can't wrap my arms around every frightened child, can't foster peace among nations, can't bring love to all who feel unlovable. So I practice opening my heart right here in this room and being gentle with my insufficiency. I practice walking down the street, heart first. And if it is insufficient to share love, I will practice loving anyway. I want to converse about truth, about trust. I want to invite compassion into every interaction. One willing heart can't stop a war. One willing heart can't feed all the hungry. And sometimes, daunted by a task too big, I tell myself, what's the use of trying? But today, the invitation is clear. To be ridiculously courageous in love. To open the heart like a lilac in May, knowing freeze is possible, and opening anyway. To take love seriously. To give love wildly. To race up to the world as if I were a puppy, adoring and unjaded, stumbling on my own exuberance. To feel the shock of indifference, of anger, of cruelty, of fear, and stay open. To love as if it matters, as if the world depends on it. Isn't that extraordinary? I think that's just absolutely extraordinary and fantastic. And Rosemary Watola Trauma, who lives in Colorado, wrote that poem. She's a poet, and I'm going to post her name here. I'm going to post her website, which is a nice, easy website to remember. It's just wordwoman.com. Wordwoman.com. Thank you very much, Rosemary Watola Trauma. And that poem was called Because. And I'm seeing you, David Jones, love the flower imagery. It is a beautiful poem. Yes, and it just, when I say it, it just absolutely resonates with me, and it absolutely expresses my feelings, because when, we all know this, we go through all these feelings of hopelessness and disempowerment and what's the point, and yet being in touch with one's heart and one's soul, the whole focus of the spiritual quest on deepening our soul connection and on experiencing this primal level of consciousness, which all mystics believe is the source of all being, which is love, pure love, that somehow mysteriously radiates outwards and becomes a universe and becomes all of us. And somebody came out with this idea that God has a what was that? Multiple personality disorder is when you have there's a new name for it now, I've forgotten, in the latest DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual that psychiatrists used. It's called something else, and but the old way of talking about it was multiple personality disorder, where you essentially have lots of different personalities, and you when you're in one, you don't realize that you also possess the others. And the suggestion is this is what God does. God is one, the primal mystical unity of oneness. DID, thank you, Winter. Yeah, dissociative identity disorder. And then, we are all one, God/goddess, the divine is one being who then differentiates like Indra's net into millions of separate identities in this sort of fractal way. And the spiritual path is about somehow hooking into or connecting onto or opening up to that part of you that is actually connected to the divine, and whoop, suddenly you're back as the one being that it is. So yes, I kiss dogs. When my adult children have asked me what can any of us really do, and I tell them in the end, all we can do is to be decent, loving people and hope that it radiates. And we know that it does. We know it at a kind of basic level. It's always interesting. If I go for a walk in town, and if somebody flashes a smile at me, like a warm smile, it sort of hits me, and I smile back. And then as I carry on the street, there's a sort of, I can feel the warmth. There's a kind of warm feeling. Oh, that's nice. What a nice, lovely, warm smile that person gave, and makes me feel warmer. I'm more likely to pass it on and to be in a better mood, and so on. And then Liz is saying, but surely there can be a hard polytheism mysticism. Yes, I consider myself both. Yes. Well, one of the fascinating things about Druidry, here's something that you may not know, particularly if you're new to the Druid tradition, is that there's no theology in Druidry. And you say, well, how can this be? This is a spiritual approach. And there isn't one theory of the nature of deity. Amazing thing about Druidry is you can come to a Druid meeting and you can have 20 Druids in the room, and one will be a hard polytheist who believes that deity, if I'm expressing it correctly, deity exists in and of itself in individual spirits and places. So there are many gods and goddesses, and they're not all subsumed in one deity. There isn't one god who manifests in a variety of different ways. And then you can have pantheists who believe that God or deity is within creation, is a manifestation of deity. Panentheists who make a distinction between creation and deity, which is both transcendent and outside of creation and immanent within creation. You have duotheists who believe that there's a god and a goddess. You have monotheists who believe there's only one goddess. You have, and then you have atheists in the sense that Buddhists are sometimes referred to as atheists, in as much as the concept of theism doesn't help them. The argument is, I can't even begin to conceive of such an entity that is theistic, so I am atheistic in that sense. There's even trans-igtheism. Big Matt says, I am an IDK theist, which I'll have to look up. I believe I found out how theistic I was when I discovered I was a trans-igtheist who confesses to their ignorance, and I can't remember where the trans comes from. I don't know. So, and yet, despite the fact it actually is, for a while I used to think this was a weakness in Druidry, that there wasn't a strong theology. And then, big IDK, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I think I'm one of those as well. So it's when you realize that a weakness is a strength. I thought, no, this is a tremendous strength of Druidry. That you can have a spiritual gathering. You can have deeply profound mystical and magical and religious and spiritual ceremonies that don't depend on being dogmatic about something which, let's face it, we can't tell. We might believe it fervently. We might have some kind of inner experience that leads us to believe that way. But the bottom line is we can't know. And So that as Ray Crow says, I love how diverse Druidry is. It's that's wonderful. Um, I find Jane says I find it quite complicated just being me. I love Obod because of the diversity. Yes, yes. Let alone trying to include everybody else's beliefs, or harmonize them, or integrate them, or homogenize them, or encompass them. Yes, it's hard enough just being oneself. So yes. So on that note, let's shall we go into the sacred grove and let go of our ideas for a moment and enter the delicious world of not knowing. Sitting here, looking at our screens, looking around at this stuff that seems to be quite hard. I mean, when I bash things with my hand or with my knee by mistake, it's really quite hard, this table, and even the computer, if I whacked it, I'd find it was hard. But I close my eyes and I remember the fact that all of matter is energy. It's made up of things called positrons and neutrons and all sorts of other things. We used to think that atoms were sort of hard balls, tiny little hard balls, but they're not. Positrons, neutrons, and the majority of atomic structure is made up of space. So there's like nothing there. It's just space. It's scary when you take this on board. So all this stuff around us that seems solid isn't really solid at all. It's highly malleable. And if we are idealists, if we believe in the primacy of consciousness, we know that matter is just a manifestation of consciousness. So right now, sitting here in our consciousness, we can allow, if we wish and we want to, we can allow the walls around us, the ceiling above us, and the floor beneath us just to gently fade away, the screen to fade away too, so that we find ourselves being in the sacred grove or entering into it. It's so calm here, and we realize that we're here with hundreds of friends and colleagues and people of like mind, all in this sacred circle. Just for a moment, I get a sense of all 300 of us who are here now, looking around in amazement, discovering that we're here, looking around at the trees, looking up at the stars and the trees, looking around at each other and smiling, and then sitting down in a circle, dry ground or a little flat stone or tree trunk beneath us to sit on. There's a small fire burning in the center. You might like to close your inner eyes within the sacred grove, just opening to the grounding, healing energy of the earth beneath you. And you take in a deep breath and then hold for a moment and then breathe out fully and deeply. And for a second time, deep breath in, hold for a moment, and then breathe out fully and deeply, just relaxing into being here in the sacred grove. The glowing fire, you can feel the warmth, the gentle warmth of it. You can smell the wood smoke. And you can feel the presence of the trees. These spirits are real. These trees are real, and their presence is strong tonight. We are here with you. Our fate is bound up with yours. We live in symbiosis together on this planet. And we sense our love for the trees, our openness to learn from them and to be guided from them, by them. And we feel the energy of the earth flowing through our bodies, bringing us stability and strength. And we look up at the sky now and we breathe in the energy of the sky. This vitalizing, energizing, power of the sky that flows into our bodies. And as we breathe in, the energy of the sky meets the energy of the earth within the center of our beings. And today, for our meditation, a bard announces that they are going to read a poem, and we're just in this gently altered state we're in by being seated in the grove. We can just open our ears to hear and listen to this poem. Because. So I can't save the world, can't save even myself, can't wrap my arms around every frightened child, can't foster peace among nations, can't bring love to all who feel unlovable. So I practice opening my heart right here, in this room, in this grove, and being gentle with my insufficiency. I practice walking down the street, heart first. And if it is insufficient to share love, I will practice loving anyway. I want to converse about truth, about trust. I want to invite compassion into every interaction. One willing heart can't stop a war. One willing heart can't feed all the hungry. And sometimes, daunted by a task too big, I tell myself, what's the use of trying? But today, the invitation is clear: to be ridiculously courageous in love, to open the heart like a lilac in May, knowing freeze is possible, and opening anyway. To take love seriously, to give love wildly, to race up to the world as if I were a puppy, adoring and unjaded, stumbling on my own exuberance. To feel the shock of indifference, of anger, of cruelty, of fear, and stay open. To love as if it matters, as if the world depends on it. Because, by Rosemary Watola Troma. And with open hearts now, we imagine that our hands are drifting up. And if it feels okay for you and you can do it with an open heart, take the hand to left and right of you, so that now you are seated in a circle, this big circle in the sacred grove. May love eventually prevail upon the earth. May love flow from this circle to all humanity, to all the animals and creatures of this earth, to all the plants and to the trees of this earth, and to the waters and the seas, and to the land. A blessing upon our circle, a blessing upon the land. And still with open heart, you squeeze the hand to either side of you, feeling the solidarity that being in this circle brings. And you gently allow your hands to drift up towards your heart, placing your hands on your heart, feeling the warmth flowing from your palms into your heart. May peace prevail on earth. May our lives be blessed. May all life be blessed. May the land be blessed. You feel the warmth of your palms on your chest and your heart spreading through your body. And retaining, to whatever degree you can, that feeling of openness and trust and loving, calm and settled feeling. You allow your awareness of being seated in the sacred grove to fade as you become aware of being seated in front of your screen, fully present here and now. And when you feel ready, you open your eyes. So, thank you so much. Thank you for all the lovely comments you are saying. Yes, be gentle with my insufficiency. How beautifully freeing. Yes, have a lovely week ahead. That was profound. Hands held, love shared around the world. Exactly. That's why we do these things. Well, bless you. I'm now going to go into the Druid hearth, and so I'll see some of you later. And in the meanwhile, have a wonderful, wonderful week. Many blessings. Much love.